This is Hana, and this is Hana's roadmap to success. She is a beautiful Newfie. She's about 6 months, and the guardians here wanted to go over loose leash walking. We did some of that stuff, but I want to kind of do a summary of the other things that we covered. So the first thing we did is we went over a marker word, and by the time the guardians see this, hopefully they've already done this, but I'd like them to walk around the house loading it. So to load it, we just say yes and give the dog a treat. And then we take a couple steps or go into the next room and then yes and give the dog a treat. Remember not to say yes or say yes. We want to say it just yes, treat. Now, we also loaded a clicker, and loading the clicker is the same thing. So all we got to do is just go give the dog a treat. We can also toss a treat on the ground and say yes or click right before they lick it up. All we're doing with the loading exercise is helping Hana learn that when I hear the click or the yes, it's going to be followed by a treat. That's the first step. You want to do this today or tomorrow. So again, each one of you, so for the next 2 days, all 4 of you are going to do this once a day. So one of you is going to just grab 20 treats or a piece of kibble, say yes, give her a treat, take a couple steps, yes, and do that all around the house. 20 minutes or more later, one of you is going to grab a clicker, another person in the house, click, treat, and walk around the house the same way, about 20 times. Then later on in the day, the third person in the house, maybe yes, same thing, and about 20 minutes longer, person does a clicker. Do the same thing again on Sunday, then you're done loading. Now we're just going to use the clicker or the marker word when the dog does the thing that we want. So if, and that's the next thing I guess the next thing we went over was hand targeting, which is teaching the dog to touch his nose to your hand. Now when you're chopping, make sure you're chopping at the dog's nose level and you don't move your hand away, yes. As soon as you feel that wetness on your hand, you say yes, then you put your treat on the hand and watch. She's going to come and lick my hand again. So I like to, I do that, this is a little trick I do for other dogs, but I want to start and stop. Don't do this. Boom, yeah, and I don't practice shake. I would recommend probably not doing the shake for a while because it promotes jumping and pawing for attention. So remember we also went over the components, cue, action, marker word, reward, but we do the first step, the cue, last. So we're just going to lure the dog into position until it becomes easy to do yes. And I don't know if you can see it there and that you don't have to adjust, but I waited for her chest to hit the ground before I said yes. So your marker word is the way of letting her know that she did the thing that you want. And remember, half of how dogs learn is making a mistake or not doing what you want and having you not mark and not reward. Just because you have a treat, if the dog doesn't do it, don't give them the treat. That is actually confusing for the dog. Yes, that's an up. So that's celebrating, which is the next thing we went over. Celebrating is rewarding the dog when it voluntarily offers the behavior that you like when you didn't ask for it. So every time she sits, yes, eye contact, sits, lays down, comes to you, goes to the dog bed, drops an item, goes potty, drinks water, stretches, anything that you want to mark that she does on her own, just mark and reward when she chooses to do it. She's going to LAY here in a second. When she does, I'm going to mark and reward her. And so after a while, the dog starts offering those behaviors to get your attention as opposed to pawing at you or barking or jumping up or whatever it is. So it's kind of similar to teaching manners. And that's really the flip side of this lesson is what I call the manners lesson is if she was nudging me for attention. She's of course not doing it, but if she's sticking her nose here nudging me, then I might say sit or down. Or I'm sorry, yours is lay or lie. Lay. 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 What am I doing here? I'm watering down the word lay. I'm saying it over and over again. She's not reinforcing it or she's not doing it. That means the word is less valuable and not listen to me is okay. It's not, I guess not listen to me okay is not really accurate. She's practicing not listening to me is maybe a better way to phrase it. It's not that she thinks it's okay. But basically, so when she jumps up on us, what she's saying is, give me some attention. So she's kind of asking for chicken nuggets in kind of an inappropriate way, like a little kid would to his mommy. So what we're going to do instead is if she's nudging me, I'm going to say, lay. And if she lays the first time, then I say yes and pet her. If she doesn't lay the first time, I lean back and I disengage. I watch TV, I read, I send an email, I write a song, whatever it is. So I'm not going to punish because remember, all attention for dogs is rewarding. So if she does something we like she looks like she's about to LAY, I know it's hard. You're so tired. This has been a long session. But as soon as she LAYs, I say yes and pet her. And after a while, she's like, David really likes it when I lay. Every time I lay down, he's petting me. Just like your kids. Hey, I made my bed. Great job, buddy, because we reinforce that. So little kid goes and makes the bed to get that positive attention. This is the absolute easiest way to train any dog, but it only will work if you get in the habit of doing it. Now, these are really two lessons. Celebrating is rewarding when she chooses to do something on her own that we find desirable, but we don't tell her to do it or influence her. She just does it, we see it, we recognize, mark, and reward afterwards. Manners is essentially when the dog is asking for something inappropriate. She's pawing for me attention. I would say sit. If she sits, then I say yes and pet her. So these can kind of work together. So celebrate is the word that I use. If I'm just sitting here and Hana walks up to me and I'm watching TV, and then she walks up to me, I might just say, and somebody says, celebrate to me, I just say yes, and I pet her under her chin. I don't need to know what it was. My family members and friends are looking out for me and helping me that I missed an opportunity to reward her desired behavior. But if somebody comes in the room and she's jumped up on me and I'm petting her, that person might think, David, you might have forgotten to ask her to sit first. And so if she's jumping up on me, I'm petting her, they say, manners, I stop petting, tell her to sit. If she sits within the first time I say it, within 2 seconds, yes. I say yes, and then I pet her. Then I can turn to my partner or my friend and say, actually, I asked her to jump up on my lap, but thanks, because I do forget, I used to call this petting with a purpose. I do forget to pet for a reason. And so after a while, Hana's gonna just start coming up and sitting in front of you. When she does, you bet your bottom, you better pet her. Otherwise, she's gonna paw and nudge at you. Again, don't practice the shake anymore because it creates other issues. So tell each other celebrate and manners and try to get in the habit of doing that so you're mindful. So if you see her coming, you just say yes and pet her on your own. You don't need to be reminded. We also went over dog consent. A lot of people pet their dogs on top of the head and they don't realize that starting the pet by petting your dog on top of the head is considered dominant behavior for dogs. Dogs generally don't like it. Cutoff signals for dogs include ducking their head, looking up and seeing what's going on, ears rotating back, which is kind of hard to see on a Newfie, turning your head to the side, or kind of a combination of those, like looking at you from the side eye, we call this whale eye, or refusing to come to you. Now, sometimes the dog will roll over. My client this morning, the dog would roll over and show the belly because that dog didn't want anybody to interact. And we're like, oh, doopsie-doo, I'll pet your belly. Some dogs roll over and they want to show you their belly. Some dogs say, please don't touch me, or please don't do what X, Y, or Z. So if it's a consent thing and the dog rolls over, I would stop engaging with it. If I'm trimming a dog's nails and I go to trim and it pulls its paw back, that's a cutoff signal as well. That's the dog's way of saying, I don't like that, or I feel uncomfortable. Now, can you pin your dog down and trim the nails? A lot of people do. I wouldn't recommend it. It's going to create a negative emotional response. Your dog's not going to want to have you trim their nails. So if you guys have questions with that, I'm going to come back here. We can go over trimming the nails on the next session if we want. But the idea for cutoff signals for dogs is the dog's way of saying, I feel uncomfortable. And so if somebody wants to meet your dog, tell them, hey, we just like to hold out your hand in front of Hana and see if she wants to meet you. We've already taught her hand targeting, so she knows how to engage with the hand, but if she chooses not to come and touch her nose to somebody's hand, she's saying, I don't want to meet that person, and that's okay. Doesn't matter if it's a family friend or your dearest friend. If she doesn't want to meet him, we're not going to force her. If somebody comes over and Hana doesn't like him, the best thing that person should do is ignore her completely. When she comes over to sniff them, don't pet her. Just be passive and quiet and still. Let her sniff you, let her walk away. Playing hard to get works great for dog training and dog behavior. Sometimes we feel social pressure. We go to somebody's house, we have to make friends with the dog, so I look like a good guest. Dogs actually some dogs would rather have a space. She's not that sort of dog. But the idea is, remember, to pet a dog, the best place to pet a dog is under the chin, on the chest, or on the shoulders. And she didn't offer any of those cutoff signals when we did that. So just kind of watch out for those things. And the kids here seem to interact with her great. She's a Newfie, so she's really well behaved. But anytime you see her like turning or shying away or not wanting to come to somebody, don't make her. Just let her call the shots in that regard. We talked about feeding out of a snuffle mat. And we also went over cooking in the corner, which is a scent game. I'd like you guys to Google, find 2 or 3 other scent games. And when you're Googling it, you're going to start getting ads for scent courses. You can do those, but I'd probably just invite you to find 3 or 4 scent games. One of them could be the kids hide. They run upstairs and go hide somewhere, and she's got to go use her nose to go around the house and find them. So those are great ways to drain energy and boost her confidence. Let me see, what else? We went over, I guess I'll talk about some of the exercises we went over. Silky leash training. So for silky leash, which is the object, the purpose of that exercise, to teach the dog that when they feel us pulling the leash, instead of resisting that, they should come to us. The couple things that are important for that. She's a sitter. A lot of dogs will sit. We can't do it when she's sitting. Yes, she's gonna make that a 3D camera. What we want to do is make sure she's stationary, and I'm gonna pull the leash to the side, the left or the right side. I like to keep the leash shorter than the length of my arm, or even shorter than that. And sometimes when she's sitting a lot, as soon as she says take 1 step away or 2 steps, just to get her up. As soon as she stops moving, try to offer the leash off to the right side or left side. I try not to pull it up so much. Try to pull the right side or left side. So I pull it, she gives in, I click. The clicker should be in the same hand as your leash, and then I treat it for my other hand. And if she's still stationary, go the other side. You might got 5 or 6 in a row. A lot of us, when the dogs are walking around, we're used to having to take a couple steps. Don't shuffle your feet. Don't move your feet unless you need to. We only move away if she sits down. Before we apply the pressure though, she's gotta be stationary, I've gotta be stationary. So she's walking around, follow her with that short leash. As soon as she stops, relax the leash and then immediately put the tension on the side. It just has to be a little tension. You don't have to pull a lot, yes. And then as soon as she leans towards or shuffles towards, then we click and then give her the treat. And again, use the clicker for that exercise. It works a little bit better. So remember, for all these exercises, we're gonna level up. So we're gonna practice in the house, in different parts of the house, until I can do 4 out of 5. She is successful. She gives in the pressure right away, 4 or 5 out of 5 times in a row. Once she does that, I'd probably do it in another part of your house, until she's doing it really easy. This is usually 2 or 3 days. Then you're gonna do the bowl game. Now again, we had a bowl over here, and we had a bowl just a couple feet over here, but you can put that all the way at your front door. And you can use your hallways upstairs. We wanna have different directions. So for that one, we're gonna basically put the leash over our hand, over our thumb, grip it, so you're gripping both ends of the leash, and then pushing it against your torso. I'd probably recommend that the parents do that exercise till she's doing it easily, instead of having the kids do it. Although, when the female of the family was doing it, she was less pulley for them. So I might try it with Chase and just see how he does. And if she's pulling like crazy, just tell him to let go of the leash. And then you guys work on it. But we didn't get as far as I would like because we were doing so many other things in the session. But I think the guardians were figuring out how to do it. So if that one, make sure when you anticipate she's going to pull, I kind of start slowing down because she's big. I'm kind of leaning back and I widen my feet so my stance is wider. And then I stop and remember, wait for her to either shuffle a foot or lean back and take some tension off the leash. Not just stopping, not turning, but turning and then take the tension off. Then we say yes, then we walk forward. Your goal is to be able to walk all the way from the start to the finish and she's matching your pace. When you're doing that, try to vary your pace. If she's charging, try to go really slow. And when I go slow, I don't like to go take a step and stop, take a step, stop. I try to move as if I'm underwater. So it's a very fluid movement as opposed to herky-jerky. And then after she gets good at that, then I start going normal pace or fast or slow. Sometimes I'm skipping. But we're going to walk at different paces. Her job, that exercise is designed to help her walk with us with a goal in mind at the bowl. And if it's just yourself, just put a ding in the bowl and then take a step away so she can't get it, then walk to the other bowl. And then that way you're loading the bowl up for yourself, but it's better if you have a helper. Now I always say the dog's name to get them to look. If Hannah's looking, if the camera's where the bowl is, I just go like this and drop it. If Hannah's like this, then you say Hana, she looks, then you drop it. I keep on saying Hana, it's Hana. And so the silky leash, or excuse me, the bowl game, we're gonna do this in different parts of the house, upstairs, downstairs, until we can do 4 out of 5 passes in a row where she's walking at our pace at different, we probably can vary it up a little bit. Then again, leveling up, the next step would be either, you guys have to figure out which one is less distracting. If the run on the side of the house is less distracting, then make that level 2. If the backyard is less distracting, then make that level 2. Well, whichever one it is, then you practice there. Put a bowl on either side and practice back and forth until she does it 4 out of 5 times consistently there. Then you go to either the run or the backyard, practice it 4 out of 5 times there consistently. Then you do it in your front yard. Then I would probably have a 5th level for you guys doing it from your driveway to your neighbor's driveway, back and forth on that same area. And I might even the first one or two times just let her walk and sniff all the sniffs on the way there and back and get them out of the way. That way she could focus on us. That's right, it's just for you guys. And that way she could focus on us. She's like bored. I'm walking the same area over and over again. All right, so those are the first 2 exercises. Again, work on silky leash until you have that one. You can do silky leash in front of your house on the sidewalk. And don't do it with a lot of attraction. Just being in that location is enough. You don't have to have a marching band or crazy enough stuff going by. Hey, and then the next exercise that we're going to do, the bowl game, we're going to start practicing after that. Again, different parts of your house. Level inside, level 1 is inside, then either dog run or backyard, then dog run or backyard, then the front yard, then in front. And so your neighbors will be like, why are you walking back and forth between bowls? Try to use a bowl that has a dinging sound when you put the treat in there. Now, if she's really pulling hard, you might want to use a lower value treat in the bowl. Oh, there we go. And I didn't go over that lesson, so that's a good reminder. So that's what I just did, is what's something called the pause interrupter. So for the bowl game, just keep on practicing back and forth until you can do it in your sidewalk outside. She's just walking at your pace. Now right there, she was about to go and touch the camera because it's something new and novel, and so she's interested in it. So what I did is I made a kissing sound, like, and that got her to look. Now her guardian or her breeder used what we call the puppy call. Puppy, puppy, puppy. Yeah, you know that. They say that when they bring out food. Now, when you're going to use that, you need to say it in a high-pitched voice. You need to say it 3 or 4 times in a row. There's a woman who traveled the world and found out that no matter what the language is, animals find 3 or 4 words said in excited fashion, in a quick cadence, arousing and engaging. So what you want to do is we went over hand targeting. Let's say that Hana is about to get in the trash, or she's the shrubberies. So there's some shrubberies that she likes to get into. So maybe we go out there with her. I have treats with me. And as soon as Hana starts, let's say she's the shrubbery and I'm Hana. She starts sniffing, I go, or actually for you guys, I say puppy, puppy, puppy. She's going to look, and then you're going to go, boop. She's going to run over and shove her nose on your hand. You're going to give her a treat. So we're basically, this is how I teach dogs to, essentially, I don't want to say it's my no, because I'm not saying no, but I'm a redirector. Remember, all attention is rewarding. So if she's hassling Chase, I say, don't do that, Hana. I'm giving her a treat, essentially. But if she's hassling Chase and I go, puppy, 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 boop. This part where you touch your nose to my hand, boop. Yes. So she only did it because we only practiced a little bit. You want to be able to do the hand targeting so she can come from like your back door to here, like 15 or 20 feet. Now this is to reposition your dog. So if I want her to face the camera, I'm having her follow my empty hand. And then I'm putting a treat there later. So I'm telling her, you don't have to see the treat. I'm going to hook you up. Trust me. And then so we're using 2 of those things together. So if she's about to get in trouble, we make the pause interrupter sound for you guys, puppy, puppy, puppy. She looks at you. You go boop. Once she has it, she runs over just like she was about to do. You've redirected her away from getting in the trash. Now at that point, I'm either going to take her for a walk. I'm going to give her a bully stick or a cow kneecap. Or I'm going to remove the trash or whatever it is. It's only going to temporarily interrupt her, but we're doing it in a positive way, not in a negative way. All right, and you can pet her anywhere you want. You just don't want to start by petting her over her head. And if I want to pet her head, Hana, I can kind of start here underneath, and then I can work up on top, and that's okay. I just don't want to start going over the head. That's what dogs are not big fans of. Okay, so let me see. We also talked about making sure it takes a while to get in a habit of reinforcing like that, but make sure you do. We talked about sniffing on walks. A lot of my clients don't realize that dogs burn almost twice as much energy sniffing on a walk than not sniffing. As they're sniffing, they're usually not pulling very much. Now, if you know your dog wants to get to something, lead them directly to where they want to go on a walk. If you're taking them there, they don't have to pull. A lot of dogs pull because we don't take them where they want, and the pulling works. So instead, just lead your dog to where they want. No, I'm going to sniff and lick this up. Great. We can go over, leave it, and drop it, and all the rest of that fun stuff later on in future sessions if you guys need it. Let me see. Do you guys, she looks fine. Do you guys know about bathing dogs? How often do you bathe her?
Like every 2 to 3 weeks.
Does she, Newfie sees her, she sheds, right? So you don't see a groomer?
We have not yet. We have a big blower that we bought.
Does she like it?
She loves it.
Okay, as long as she likes it. So dogs with hair, we have to get cut at a groomer. Those dogs, we need to wash their hair more frequently, just like me. If I don't wash my hair, it gets greasy. Dogs with fur, usually, the general rule of thumb is you want to bathe them about once a quarter unless they get dirty and need it. A lot of dogs develop dermatitis, and that can create an itchiness and skin condition and some other issues. And we're just so used to bathing our dogs because we do it so frequently. But a lot of people give their dogs too many baths. Now, if she gets into something, of course, we need to bathe her and clean her. So it's not a hard rule. But I have a Dalmatian named Quest. Dalmatians kind of keep themselves cleaner, I don't know, because they're white. But I literally went over a year without bathing him because he didn't smell and he didn't get anything, and he kept himself clean. But a lot of dogs develop Okay, I didn't delete all the videos, my camera ran out of storage. So I was just talking about something called the pause interrupter. So the pause interrupter is all attention for dogs is rewarding. So if she starts getting into the trash and I say no, that's like giving her a treat. So what I was using as kissing sound is my default, but her breeder used puppy, puppy, puppy. Yeah, you like that sound. Every time she brought out her food. So for Hana, that puppy, puppy, puppy is gonna get her attention. So when Hana is about to get into the shrubberies, what I would do is go out there, have some treats with you, and just kind of watch her. But don't kind of watch her like you know, don't let her know you're watching her. And then basically, as soon as she starts looking at sniffing the shrubs or licking them, you'd say, puppy, 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 boop, boop. Now she doesn't have a strong enough hand targeting yet, so it's not working. But the puppy, puppy, puppy is to get the dog to look. And then we've paired it with the hand targeting. Once we practice that enough, boop, she runs over, touches her nose to her hand. We're called her away from hassling chase or from getting in the shrubberies or in the trash or whatever it is. Now, this is a temporary suspension. It's not gonna, if you don't do anything, she's gonna go right back to it. So what we're teaching her is when I'm sniffing the shrubberies, I hear this interesting sound, I turn and look at mom, and then she says, boop, and I run over and touch my nose or hand, I get rewarded. We're helping her practice disengaging from the shrub and running away from the shrub. Now, that doesn't mean she's going to not go after the shrub. Usually this is like getting in the trash or whatever. We would then say, take your dog for a walk. Do a little training. Training is a great way to drain some energy. Do some scent work or whatever it is. But the idea is to positively interrupt her without making us give her attention, because all attention is rewarding. And so she's got to sniff the camera. Yes. So I'm just using a kind of a lure to get her to come, but I'd like you guys to practice that hand targeting. Maybe practice it, set it up so yes, you guys are practicing it 2 or 3 times a day. Not to get, maybe each person in the family practice it once a day. And by the end of the week, you should be able to say boop and have her run over and shove her nose to your hand. Yes, just like that. You did such a good job. Yes, you did. Kisses. All right. And so let me see. What else? I'm trying to think what else we need to cover. Is there anything else you want me to go over? This is really just for you guys, so it's...
you know,
do we give her people food?
After week 2, not a lot.
So that, she just went and sat down next to her dad who's eating. So for dogs, not saying no is kind of like saying, I'm okay with what you're doing. It's not quite a yes. But if, let's say that I am a dog and another dog wants something I have, it's going to walk up in my space and just stand right here. If I don't disagree, I'm saying it's okay for you to covet my food. Yes. So, and if we give dogs food off the table, we're just conditioning them to come to us. What I usually tell people is that for dogs, breaking a rule for a dog is kind of like, yes, giving an addict or somebody who's in recovery a hit of whatever they're addicted to. In the short term, they like it, but you're really creating a habit that's not healthy or you don't want. So if I'm cooking my dog's food and I want to give them like a little steak, I take one piece of steak. I used to give them the fat, but that's not good for them. So I just take a piece of steak and I chop it up in tiny little bits and I put it on a plate and I let it sit in the microwave till the next day. And then I put it in their bowl. So it doesn't smell in concert with everything I have in my house. And otherwise, it can promote, it's just inappropriate. It's kind of a rude behavior for dogs to invade people's personal space. If they do it for you, they might do it for your guest. Your guest comes over, a little kid with a hot dog. She's going to snake the hot dog. The baby's crying, and you're the bad host. So it's just a good habit not to get her into. Now, when we talked about feeding her a snuffle mat, I would feed her a snuffle mat for one meal. Use the Tricky Trainer Omega Paw Treat Ball, long name for the orange ball. Use the Weeble Wobble for the next meal. So change it up a little bit. So give her different things to do. And remember, the snuffle mat is like a short walk. The other ones are drain energy, but they don't use the nose as much, but there's a little bit of movement. Now, don't be afraid to use those things when you have guests come over. If she's being maybe being a little persnickety, maybe you load one of those things up or give her a bully stick or a kneecap. Bully sticks, tracheas, kneecaps, oxtails, yes. Let me see, duck head, chicken head, duck feet, turkey feet. These are all things that we find repulsive that dogs love. My dog's favorite thing is a kneecap. I have a kneecap, they chew all the flesh off at once, and then they'll sit and they'll be lying around and they'll come back and chew on that sucker 10 or 12 more times. Yes. And so those are good things to have, especially if your dog's stressed or fearful. Giving them something to chew or lick can help release the feel-good endorphins. She's a newfie. She's a good girl. Try to keep your training sessions maximum of 5 minutes. For the loose leash walking stuff that we talked about, I want you to do those 3 minimum of each exercise a day, preferably breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then you can add more than that, but we just don't want to have them all compounded together. And so this is the design exercise. The design for this, our loose leash walking program, is for a month. We are doing 3 exercises a day every single day for that month. The exercises change, but we're doing them at least 3 times a day. And after a while, the dog just kind of gets conditioned to walking on the right side, walking on the left side, walking with you, or whatever the case may be. Now remember, on walks, for the, load this sucker up, and the treats that I was using, the main ones, they've changed the formula, but you can try Turkey Trainer, soft and chewy, chicken liver. Those are my go-to treat for 10 years. The manufacturer, in a really dumb decision, has to replace that with pork. Some dogs like it, not anywhere as much as they used to. So you can get the pork ones, that's fine. They're just with liver is what they're branded up. But you might want to try the soft and chewy salmon flavored. A lot of dogs like salmon, that's a good treat. Have a treat with you in your hand the whole time. Every time Hana looks at you, say yes and hold the treat out, stop. So she has to come back to you. The foundation of loose leash walking is the dog being rewarded for coming towards us or checking in with us. And then immediately pull out another treat. So every time she looks at you, you're giving her a treat, you're giving her a treat, you're giving her a treat. After a while, the dog is just like, I'm just gonna look at you every couple of steps, but what's she doing? She's walking with us, because if she's too far away, the treats are far away. Now, if she gets really out of position, you use that luring into position movement that I did with where we draw our arm and leg backwards, or you just walk backwards when she comes to you, turn around and walk away, walk forward. That's gonna be one of the things that we go over in the future, in a future episode. Now, I also showed you guys a turn. So if you're doing a turn, if you're walking with her and there's the end of the hallway, touch the treat to her nose first. Say turn, then always turns with the dog on the outside. So touch her nose with the treat, say turn, do a half circle, take 1 step in the other direction, then say yes and release the treat. So, and then take a couple steps that way and then do the same thing. I like to do this once a block. So my dog's like, Dave is a weirdo. Every once in a while he stops and there's a half U-turn, goes 12 steps that way. Then he changes his mind and goes back the other direction. That's right, you do anything you want. This is just for you guys. And so this is just a good thing to do. Let's say that there is a rabbit that's free. You definitely don't want her to be chasing a rabbit because we have a rabbit in the house. So you see a rabbit come around, you do a U-turn and turn and walk the other direction so she doesn't practice unwanted behaviors. When it comes to behavior modification, there's essentially 2 pillars. Pillar 1 is maintenance or management. Means we're going to try to prevent the dog from practicing the unwanted behavior, i.e. chasing rabbits on walks. The other method that we do is behavior modification. So for example, we might put the rabbit in the kennel and have her outside the kennel. So she can practice being around the kennel while keeping the rabbit safe. Now, if you can do that sort of thing, should only do it if the rabbit's not freaking out in the kennel. Rabbits freaking out in the kennel, we're really doing a lot of damage to the rabbit. And if the rabbit runs around, that's going to make her more likely to chase it. So all those things work against us. We want to make sure it's a pleasant experience for the rabbit and for her. And when I'm doing those sort of things, I make sure that I set the dog up for success. Maybe we take the dog out for a 20-minute sniff walk, come back in, give her 10 minutes of rest, then we bring out the rabbit. So picking and choosing your battles can be really helpful. All right, so now when you have questions on any of this stuff that we've talked about, please let me know. I'd rather you text me and with just a nuisance text, because I don't look at it as a nuisance, but I'd rather you text me just to make sure that you're doing it right than have you practice it for a week or 2 and then find out you had a bad movement and now your dog's practiced the wrong technique. You did, we lost a lot of time. So, and last thing to remember, training is not a linear process. Just because she did the bowl game great the day before doesn't mean she's going to do it great this day. We're going to have on days and off days. We just grin and smile when we're having an off day, and we're like, we'll come back to it later. If you find yourself getting frustrated, stop. But really, for all training, we want to make sure we end on a positive. So if your dog starts to show that signs that she's getting uncomfortable, next time you have a good rep, call it a day. But it's better to go shorter and more successful than longer and then have an unpleasant experience. She's good with her hair being brushed out and all that stuff too? Okay. So that's what the other thing I was going to go over for the nails. This is what we do for nails. So I basically hold a treat to her lips and then touch her dew claw and then release the treat. Then touch and then do the second dew claw, release the treat. So we're holding a treat here just to make sure she's kind of passive. Once she's comfortable with that, then reverse it. Then touch her dew claw and then give her a treat afterwards. If she doesn't pull her paw back, that's a cutoff signal. Then you're ready for the next stage. The next stage is I pick her paw up and hold it like this, and then drop it and give her a treat. And if she struggles, gives you a cutoff signal, hold a treat to your nose, then lift up the paw. All I want to do is get her used to us holding the paw, and I get a treat afterwards. So we want to flip it. So now you hold up my paw, then you drop it, and I get a treat. Then eventually we're going to hold up and we're going to hold the dew claw out like this, like we're going to trim it. We're not doing anything else other than just getting her ready for that. And then we give her a treat. And if she struggles in this, then we hold the treat up to her mouth, or one of the kids does, and you hold her dew claw up, then we drop it and release the treat. Eventually, when it gets to the point where you can hold up the dew claw, drop it, and give her a treat, she's content, yes. The next stage is, let's say this is the nail. You're gonna go right there. That probably doesn't look appropriate on TV. So we're gonna hold, this is the nail. I'm gonna take the trimmers and just grasp the nail. I'm not trimming, I'm just grasping. That's a weird sensation. And so if she struggles for that, then have somebody holding a treat, or you can hold her chew, and then you hold her nail up, put the trimmers around it, and then release, and then give her the treat. So we're breaking these things down to small steps, and we're not going the next step until she's completely comfortable and relaxed. When you actually go to snipping it, the quick is the pink part of the nail. If you go to the quick, it will really hurt, it will bleed a lot, and it'll make her not want to do it. So she has black nails. Really, for puppies, you want to trim their nails about every 2 weeks, adult dogs every 3 to 4 weeks. So I want you to just trim off just 1/8 of an inch. Now, when you get to actually trimming, that's a big step. I would like to have a bigger reward for that. Maybe go to Chipotle and get a side of chicken. You can, I give my dogs a spice, but if she's spice sensitive stomach, rinse that off. The temperature is more important to food for dogs than the taste. Temperature, smell is number 1, temperature is number 2, taste is a distant third. So if I'm trimming off a little bit, maybe 1/8 of a nail, trip, and then give her maybe 2 pieces of chicken. Ooh, I really didn't like that snip, but I really like that chicken. And then if she's really struggling, then we wait a little bit and come back and do the other one. And again, this is sort of exercise, taking her out for a sniff walk, coming back and leaving her 10 minutes of rest, and then doing this exercise would really help. Now, there's a meme that says practice is not an emergency, emergency is not a time to practice. So don't do this when you need to trim her nails. If I got to trim her nails in a week, practice this throughout the week.
Hi, Ross.
Hi. This would take you like a minute. So you just go in, touch the nail, give her a treat. Touch the nail, give her a treat. We want her to just